What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Green Zone. I know I said I was going to go at 7:35, but figured why not start a couple minutes early? I'm ready to go and can relax a little bit and watch some Thursday night football after we are off air. NFL Week 4. I feel like the season's already flying by. As always, you can jump in the comments, submit any questions or comments you have. We can talk about any game. You want to pick my brain about some college games as well. We can get into that. So yeah, anything betting wise, NFL or college football, feel free to jump in and join the conversation in the comments. If I see them, I will try to throw them on the screen as always. But welcome into the green zone. Let's get started. Thursday night football, the Cowboys at the Giants. The Cowboys are a 5.5 point favorite with the over under at 44.5. Now, look, the Cowboys have been blown off the field in their own building 2 weeks in a row. I know the score looked close last week versus the Ravens, but the Ravens were up big and just playing prevent, just trying to get out the game late. And the Cowboys also got an onside kick too, which rarely happens that they were able to get another score as well. These two teams are pretty similar, honestly. There's a clear path to success versus the Cowboys, which is gashing them on the ground. But I'm not sure if the Giants and Devin Singletary are equipped to really take advantage of that weakness on the Cowboys defense. And I've talked about Kirk Cousins in prime time the last couple of weeks. We're talking about the Falcons games, but Daniel Jones might actually be worse in prime time. Jones is 1-12 in his career in primetime games, and he's also 1-6 versus the Cowboys in his career. The Giants are also going to be missing key guys in the secondary, including Adoree Jackson. This is setting up to be a get right spot for the Cowboys passing attack in this one. And Jalen Tolbert, I'm sorry, has taken over. If you haven't noticed, he seems like Dak's number two guy next to CD Lamb over Brandon Cooks in this offense, and he's being lined under Brandon Cooks in this one. So I like Jalen Tolbert's over receiving yards here as well. And I'm going to be on the Cowboys minus 5.5. The Giants are going to have to show me that they can compete with the Cowboys before I'm going to back them here. It's Cowboys minus 5.5 and Jalen Tolbert's over receiving yards. The Bengals at the Panthers. The Panthers are a 4.5 point favorite with the over under at 47.5. The Bengals profile is a dead over team. They have an elite passing attack now that Higgins and Chase are both full go. And the emergence of Ali at tight end only helps their offense. But now their defense is a big, big question mark. They can't stop a nosebleed. We saw that last week versus the Commanders. This Panthers offense, in my opinion, is still being undervalued. They have a good O line. Deontay Johnson is showing he can be a good receiver um, when he's not playing with a quarterback who stinks like Bryce Young. And they have two decent running backs in Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders, who they can lean on as well. This over 47.5 is one of my favorite spots this week. One of my best looks. The Broncos at the Jets. Last week, I asked if the Jets are 7.5 point favorites with the over under at 39.5. Last week, I asked if the Jets had shown us anything that would make us buy into them as a big favorite. And they did show me something last week as they blew the doors off the Patriots and got out of there with a big victory. Rodgers looks like he's amped up and back to his old ways. And the Jets defense should make life hell on rookie Bo Nix in this one. And the Broncos are riding high off their upset off the Buccaneers last week, but this is going to be a much tougher test. And anything under 10 here, I have to play on the Jets. I like the Jets minus 7.5. The Saints at the Falcons. The Falcons are a 1.5 point favorite with the over under at 42.5. The Saints offense came back down to earth last week, and their O line is where I had question marks coming into the season. And now they lost another starter in that game as well. So now it becomes an even more of a question mark for this Saints offense. And for the Falcons, Kirk Cousins, as the weeks go by, seems to be getting on his feet under him. But this offense still leaves a lot to be desired. They're still struggling to get the ball to Kyle Pitts. Drake London is kind of up and down. It's been a lot of the secondary options with Ray McLeod and Mooney catching passes for the Falcons. They're still needing their stars to step up here. And my initial look would be the over, but I'm not quite there to make a bet yet. We'll see come Sunday, but for now, it's a stay away from me. The Vikings at the Packers. The Packers are a 3 point favorite with the over under at 43.5. This Vikings coaching staff should be front runners for all the coaching awards this year. The offense not only making it work, but making this offense flourish with Sam Darnold at quarterback. Brian Flores has been absolutely incredible. I'm getting the most out of this talent, the Vikings defense, which I personally think lacks talent overall, but his scheme is really getting the best out of this Vikings defense. And now we're in a wait and see game if Jordan Love is actually going to play in this one. The line with the Packers being favored by 3 points here. suggesting that Love is going to give it a go in this game, but I want to see some clarity on Sunday before I pull the trigger and make a decision. So no for sure bet in this one with the Packers and the Vikings. I have to see if Jordan Love is actually going to be active before I make a decision in this one. The Jaguars at the Texans. The Texans are a 6.5 point favorite with the over under at 45.5. Look, the Bills are a team that primarily wants to be a run first offense, and they completely just threw that out the window on Monday night versus the Jags. They threw it all over this defense, and the Texans are an offense that wants to sling it and can sling it with their plethora of weapons and CJ Stroud, obviously. The Jags are in complete disarray. They were a desperate team last week and got blown off the field. And now it's nothing but question marks on where they go from here. Like you saw Doug Peterson saying everything is on the table as far as changes go. Now, the Texans D line should have success versus this Jaguars front. And if the Texans can't cover this number after how they performed the last couple of weeks, then it might be time to readjust how we view this Texans team this year. Now, but this is now going to be with the late injuries that came in. Obviously, after I made my notes, um, now Tank Dell did not practice for the Texans today, and now Nico Collins is on the injury report, did not practice with the hammy, and they're already missing Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon to me isn't that big of a loss if he can't go. I was kind of already game planning to where he wouldn't be in for the Texans this weekend. But if Tank Dell and Nico Collins aren't in this one, that really hinders this Texans passing attack. And I'm going to have to see how this number goes. If we get a lesser number, I might still be on the Texans, but we're going to have to see who's available for the Texans passing attack come Sunday. The Steelers at the Colts. The Steelers are a 1.5 point favorite with the over under at 39.5. I really have no interest in this game. It sucks. I feel like this is like 3 games in a row that I said I don't really have a bet on. But the under would probably be my only look, as it is in most Steelers game. Like I said, their offense is super conservative and they try to win games on the defensive side of the ball. And this Colts offense, you just don't know what you're going to get on a week to week basis from them. And especially out of the quarterback, Anthony Richardson, especially now going against the Steelers defense that includes a ferocious pass rush. And they could really make life hell for Anthony Richardson in this one. There's just too inconsistent offense from the Colts here with a lackluster defense. But the Steelers' offense is not a unit where I'm like they can go in and take advantage of a lackluster defense. They still want to play conservative. Fields is playing well, but he's not like wowing me. So this is a strong stay away from me here. There's just better games to put your money on this week. Now the Rams at the Bears. The Bears are a 3 point favorite with the over under at 40.5. I was originally planning to be on the Bears in this one, but you just can't bet any number. Just because you like a team, the number also has to dictate what you bet. I always say you got to bet on numbers, not the teams. And now that this game is three, there are some 3.5s out there as well. I just can't do it anymore with the Bears. I think the Bears passing attack is starting to look better week by week, and I assume it's going to keep getting better as the weeks go on. But they still consistently put themselves in third and longs. And DeAndre Swift has looked abysmal this year running the ball out of the Bears' backfield. And the Rams are absolutely depleted with injuries. But when you look at this game at this number now, you're asking a rookie quarterback, a bad head coach, and an overall bad team to win a game by 4 or more to cover the spread. And then you look at it, it's Sean McVay versus Matt Eberflus. I just can't put money into that. It would be the Rams or nothing for me at this current number. I was really hoping to get the Bears at like a pick or -1 or something, but I can't ask them to win a game by more than 3. The Eagles at the Buccaneers. Lane Johnson returned the Eagles are 1.5 point favorites with the over under at 42.5. Lane Johnson returned to practice today for the Eagles, but their injury report is still extensive, mainly with the big losses of Devontae Smith and AJ Brown still going to be out. They're looking at Paris Campbell, the rookie Johnny Wilson out of Florida State, and Jahan Dotson as their top 3 receivers going into this one, which is not great for the Eagles offense. This Bucs secondary is not very talented overall, but they run a lot of cover 3 and cover 4, which are the primary coverages that Hurts has struggled with in his career. I'm expecting a heavy dose of Saquon Barkley. Now I say that, but the Eagles seem like they're going to be getting fined if they give Saquon more than 20, 25 touches a game. But I don't think they're going to have a choice in this one. They're going to have to feed Barkley if they're going to have any chance at a sustainable offense in this one. And big for the Eagles here, Vita Vea is still not practicing for the Bucs, which would be a big blow to that run defense. He's a massive man, great run stuffer, and if he's not able to go, then the Eagles can really take advantage of that middle of that Bucs defense running the ball, which would really take a lot of pressure off Hurts and these lackluster receivers to have to make plays. Now, the Eagles' pass rush remains a problem. They got pressure on Derek Carr last week. Once the Saints center went out with an injury, but they still didn't turn them pressures into sacks. And these Bucks wide receivers can have success versus this Eagles secondary. Now, Darius Slay was a full participant today at Eagles practice, so I'm expecting him to be out there Sunday. While the Buccaneers, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, both were limited. So no bet for me in this one yet. I'm leaning Eagles because the fact that they're a favorite on the road, especially with this many injuries for them, makes me seem like Vegas is kind of expecting the Eagles to win this one in a tight one. That's why the total is only 42.5. But I have to see the status of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin as the week goes forward. Probably won't get more clarity till game day. So I'm probably going to have something on this on Sunday. But right now, I need to see the status of those two guys before I'm going to pull the trigger on something. Now, the Patriots at the 49ers. The 49ers are a 10.5 point favorite with the over under at 40.5. The 49ers are another team that's just decimated with injuries right now. They did have Debo back at practice today. I did not see the capacity that he practiced at, but he was out there. And if he's able to go, that would obviously be a big boost for this 49ers offense. And the Patriots offense is just so stagnant. We saw the Jets just harass and get to Jacoby Brissett often in that game last week. And the 49ers should be able to do the same thing with their pass rush, even missing Javon Hargrave. They still have plenty of talent on that D line to be able to get after Brissett in this one. And then the 49ers offense, even without C-Mac and Kittle, and even if Debo can't go, this offense still has weapons. Jawan Jennings, Brandon Ayuk, Jordan Mason has filled in nicely for C-Mac. They have enough talent to cover this number versus the Patriots here, especially a Patriots team that's going to be flying across the country. The Commanders at the Cardinals. The Cardinals are a 3.5 point favorite with the over under at 50.5. Now you see a number at 50.5 and you're like, wow, that's a huge number, but it's big for a reason. Just like I talked earlier with the Bengals, both of these teams, the Commanders and the Cardinals, profile as dead over teams. Both defenses stink, and both offenses have playmakers, and not only playmakers, but they have big playability. And that's what you want when you're betting an over. You want teams that are going to be able to not only just sustain drives, but can also hit some quick hitters and home run plays as well. And both of these teams have that. Now, the Cardinals are probably going to be without tight end Trey McBride in this one, but their outside receivers should still feast against his Commander secondary, which is dreadful. And then each week, Jaden Daniels has looked more and more comfortable. And then this is one of his easier matchups to date. The Cardinals secondary is, in my opinion, still worse than the Bengals, the one that Daniels torched last week. And I think we see both of these teams score into the mid to high 20s and clear this 50.5. The Browns at the Raiders. The Raiders are a 1.5 point favorite with the over under at 37.5. Now, look, this game's in Vegas, and just a short drive out of Vegas, Deshaun Watson can go get a happy ending legally. So maybe we do see his best performance to date since he joined the Browns. I'm just playing. This Browns offense has looked terrible. In my opinion, they are the worst offense in the NFL, and I honestly don't think it's up for debate. If you take away garbage time, they have a success rate of 31.5%, and they are dead last, 32nd in the NFL in EPA per play. And when you look at the schedule of the teams they played the Cowboys, the Jags, and the Giants. That's not exactly a gauntlet of good defenses for your offensive numbers to be looking as bad as they are. The defense for the Browns was expected to be an elite unit, but they've mostly been average. And now they're having to deal with a Miles Garrett injury. It's just not going to get better for this Browns defense. And the Raiders are the Raiders. I mean, Antonio Pierce is calling players out in the press conference after last week, and you don't know what you're going to get on a week-to-week basis from quarterback Gardner Minshew. And now Devontae Adams pops up on the injury report. That would be a massive blow for this Raiders offense. But to me, it's Raiders or nothing here. I could never back the Browns until this offense shows me they have a little bit of a pulse. Even with Adams out, you could probably get the Raiders at better money. But it would never be the Browns for me. I'm gonna lay the 1.5 with the Raiders as long as Devontae Adams is in. The Chiefs at the Chargers. The Chiefs are a 7 point favorite with the over under at 39.5. It's Chiefs or nothing for me in this one. Justin Herbert, if he's able to go, which it looks like he will be able to go as he was a limited participant in practice, but that's big that he was able to hit the practice field on Thursday. He won't be 100% even if he does play in this one. And you add that on top of the fact that this team already is desperate for playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. Lad McConkey is a reliable target, but he's not going to stretch the field or make any big plays for you. But he's a reliable underneath target. But this Chargers offense has nobody outside. Quentin Johnston flashes here or there. And Joshua Palmer's decent. But this Chargers offense just lacks playmakers. And now you're going to talk about a less than 100% Herbert with no playmakers, going to have to try to keep up with this Chiefs offense. And then On top of all that, the Chargers, one of their best defenders and one of the best safeties in the NFL, Derwin James, is now suspended in this game for the Chargers as well. I just don't see a scenario where the Chargers are able to, one, limit this Chiefs offense, and two, keep pace with them. Anything under 10, I like the Chiefs here. The Bills at the Ravens. This is Sunday Night Football. Look, I feel like I know this Ravens team better than most. We faded them week 1 and we cashed. We faded them week 2 and we cashed. And we bet on them last week against the Cowboys and we cashed. And now I'm going to try to continue that streak by fading them again. The Ravens O-line is a big concern, and now they're going to be facing this Bills defense who has Von Miller, Greg Rousseau off the edge, and Ed Oliver up the middle. They can limit Lamar's ability to scramble, and they can really get after him, force him into bad decisions and some sacks in this one. And the Bills don't really blitz a lot, which helps their secondary because the secondary obviously lost Jordan Poyer, Tre'Davious White. So it's a lot of new guys in the back end of that Bills defense, but this D line has been so dominant, it hasn't really affected them to this point. And the Ravens don't really have the weapons outside besides Zay Flowers to really exploit a team secondary like that. And Josh Allen is playing the best football of his career this year. And I feel like he's playing loose and spreading the ball around because he doesn't have the weight of trying to have to force the ball to a guy like Stephon Diggs, who's going to be in his ear if he feels like he's not getting enough targets. So I expect Josh Allen to continue to keep playing good, turnover free football in this one. And I feel like the market significantly upgraded this Ravens team because of how they beat the Cowboys last week. But in my opinion, I just don't agree with that at all. And I think the Bills not only cover this number, but win this game outright on Sunday night. Now, moving on to Monday, the Titans at the Dolphins. The Dolphins are a 1.5 point favorite with the over under at 36.5. Again, this is another game. There's just better games to put your money on. Like, why would you bet this game between Will Levis and Tyler Huntley? There's no interest at all. The Titans are a mess offensively right now. And their head coach, if you listen to their head coach speak, anytime there's a microphone in his face, he pretty much tells you he hates his quarterback, but he doesn't really have any other options to turn to right now. And the Dolphins appear to be rolling with Tyler Huntley in this one. He actually played solid when he filled in for Lamar a few times when he was with the Ravens, made a Pro Bowl, which I don't put any stock in anybody making a Pro Bowl anymore. It's all a popularity contest, and half the star players don't even want to play in there or participate, so they opt out. So random guys get thrown in there as alternates. But nonetheless, he did make a Pro Bowl when he was with the Ravens. And there's just so much volatility now with Tyler Huntley in a new offense. I think it does benefit Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle if you have them in fantasy because anything is better than what we saw from Skylar Thompson last week. But as far as betting in this game, I'm going to see how Tyler Huntley looks before I jump in on this Dolphins offense. And I have no interest in the Titans after how they've looked the first 3 weeks. So it's a dead stay away from me. The Seahawks at the Lions as the last game of the week. The Lions are a 3.5 point favorite with the over under at 46.5. Both of these teams haven't really played anyone so far this year, so there's not much of an upgrade or downgrade either way with them. I think they're both pretty similar. If anything, the Lions offense has been the unit that has underwhelmed so far this year. They failed to reach more than 20 points in 60 minutes of play in every game so far, which I was not expecting out of this offense. And they haven't really faced a tough defense, especially a secondary that is talented as Seattle's is. And they can have success running versus Seattle, but at some point in this game, Jared Goff is going to have to make some plays throwing the ball, and he just not has shown the ability to do that consistently so far this year, which is kind of crazy because I thought he actually found his home and hit his stride with the Lions. But I mean, if you're a fantasy owner of Amon-Ra St. Brown or Sam Laporta, then you can attest to how much this passing attack has struggled for the Lions so far. And the Seahawks offense has been exceeding expectations, in my opinion. Even with their injuries that they've had, Zach Charbonnet's no fall off at all from Kenneth Walker. He's filled in nicely at the running back spot. So I'm not sure if I'm going to have a play on them, but to me, the valuable side right now, over 3.5, would be the Seahawks. Over 3, it would never be the Lions for me in this one. It would be the Seahawks or nothing. Now, I know there was a lot of question marks about a lot of games. I mean, we're getting week 4 of the NFL. Teams are starting to get banged up, and there's a lot of late injured guys missing practice, end up questionable. You don't really know who's going to play, so it's harder to really get a solidified opinion on a lot of games midweek. But I try to get these out early. Just a quick glance about the NFL and how I'm eyeing the slate. But a lot of these teams you're going to start needing Sunday or at least later in the week to get more clarity on their injury reports. You can follow me on X at SRedden Sports, on IG at Red Hot Locks. Always tweet out updates. Post all my content over there as well. And if, as always, if you want to know who I'm betting on Sunday or Saturday for college football as well, you can subscribe to my Dub Club for all my official plays, my unit sizes, how much I'm betting on each game, my top bets, and I also give out parlay of the day for college football and the NFL as well. But if you don't want to do that, of course, you can just follow me on social media as well, and I'll still update it as we get more clarity heading towards the weekend. As always, best of luck and bet responsibly.